Thank you. Sorry for all those I've missed off. Thank you. Okay. Next up, welcome back, Chris Dickinson.
It's been too long. Well, I think so. So I'm going to read this one because of what Michael read. And he read a very moving piece about his friend. Finding the right words. Unfettered by trees, fenland breezes, blasts of flat fields, whirl last season's leaves to circle the shelter of our lawn, cushioned tinted rugs on the beds of bare shrubs. I can't hint at regrets when autumn cools blood, nips through skin. We put trust in nature. Spring will surely come after the fall. Sadness presses my chest, the lack of breath, budding like ill health. Brooding on new death, I search for flowers, a shadow of hope. My eyes choose a card, the hand picks a pen, reaches for an envelope the size of sorrow. I know that aloneness, how it sucks the heat out of bone, burns the throat, and turns on a pin. Obsessions freeze the minute, squeeze us dry. Poets find the right phrase sometimes, try to spell out words for public empathy, balance private grief with universal truth. Other days, we lose our touch with reality. Away with the fairies, my mother would say, lost to the air like the love of a friend. Thank you. I'd like to read this other one. Now, I don't know if Finn has his book, I Ache in Places I Used to Play, handy. I think mine's under the bed. I was very pleased that he put my piece in the section entitled Still Moving, because I am, just. We can rely on books, real friends, intimate in step with the way we feel. Loyal for 70 years, they wait, slipping into my hands at the day's end. The finale, removing a bookmark, sets me adrift. It's the close of courtship, a soulmate beyond reach, children scattered. Time on my side, I dip into a shelf, favourites picked to save, keep for life, ride fingertips along spines. Aliens hide amongst the treasures, the title of one once prize gone, clean out of mind. A first line rings no bell. No warmth in memory, revised themes. No gleam from the cover, the listed work sparks insight. I chose this novel, thrived in its world, transfixed to my chair, wallowed in twists of plot and dived into rich prose. The fresh voice, phrases tested what I knew. Maybe I have read too many words, grown into an unworthy reader. I've lost the secrets we fanatics shared, the map mislaid where treasure is buried. In this 8th decade, I must reassess, shake the dust from my old tomes, retrace the well-thumbed pages, look back at each book and welcome change, a new stage, the reliving, an upgrade, like moving home. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I did have it here. I was reading along with you. It's I have the last copy of the first print here. I've ordered more. So thank you very much. It's a great boy. Thank you. Thank you for being part of it too. Wonderful. All right. Next up is, it's Alexandra.
It's Bilal, actually. It's Bilal. It's Bilal. We're doing a collaboration.
Yeah, I thought you were going first with it. Okay, but Bilal first, Alexandra. Okay, however.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, sir.
My voice is clear?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'll begin. A address of an old man, surrounded by the laughters when I cough, hearing the voices that I'm old, my feet hanging in the grave.
Περιτριγισμένος από γέλιο όταν δείχω, ακούγοντας τις φωνές ότι γέρασα, τα πόδια μου κρέμονται στον τάφο.
My hands, my feet shivering, and feeble is my heart. I know there is no life left in me.
Τα χέρια μου, τα πόδια μου τρέμουν και αδύναμη είναι η καρδιά μου. Ξέρω ότι δεν υπάρχει ζωή μέσα μου.
But I shall be young again, yes, young again. When I shall tell the tales of my sublime youth, I will be. Let me be the whispers in your ears.
Αλλά θα ξαναγίνω νέος πάλι. Όταν θα πω τις ιστορίες της υπέροχης νιώτης μου, θα είμαι, άσε με να είμαι η ψήφιρη στα αυτιά σου.
When I shall see the young folks listening to me with astonished faces, they should come to me. They should come to the library, for the library I am.
Όταν θα δω τους νέους να με ακούνε με έκπληκτα πρόσωπα, θα πρέπει να έρθουν σε μένα. Θα πρέπει να έρθουν στη βιβλιοθήκη για τη βιβλιοθήκη που είμαι.
Youth is beautiful like a delicate flower, which should not be plucked before its time. Let us be the gardeners of the gardens of delicate flowers.
Η νεολαία είναι όμορφη σαν ένα λεπτό λουλούδι, που δεν πρέπει να μαδίσει πριν από την ώρα του. Ας γίνουμε κυπουροί των κήπων των λεπτών λουλουδιών.
Because we know the ambrosia of these flowers when we were young.
Γιατί ξέρουμε το αμβρόσιο αυτών των λουλουδιών όταν ήμασταν μικροί.
You need us, come to us, read us, the tears we shed, the hands and feet you see shivering.
Μας χρειάζεστε. Ελάτε να μας διαβάσετε. Τα δάκρυα που χύσαμε, τα χέρια και τα πόδια που βλέπετε να τρέμουν.
For enough these eyes have seen, and enough these feet have walked, who know the pain of thorns, and enough these hands have toiled.
Γιατί αρκετά έχουν δει αυτά τα μάτια και αρκετά έχουν περπατήσει αυτά τα πόδια που γνωρίζουν τον πόνο των αγκαθιών και αρκετά αυτά τα χέρια μόχθησαν.
Make us young by listening to us. Make us joyous by sitting around and read this oldest book in the library.
Κάντε μας νέους ακούγοντάς μας. Κάντε μας να χαρούμε καθισμένοι και διαβάστε αυτό το πιο παλιό βιβλίο στη βιβλιοθήκη. Okay, I think only I understood that, the Greek part. But Bilal asked me to do it in Greek, so...
That was awesome. You know, I love a collaboration. That was wonderful. Thank you guys very much. I knew you were doing that, but that was just great to hear it. Great to see it. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Wonderful. Wow. Okay. I can find him. We're going to have our second debutant right this moment, if he's ready. Bilal's friend. Are you ready?
Yes,
son?
I'm ready.
All right, take it away, sir.
Well, hello, everyone.
Welcome to Blot. Welcome to Blot.
Thank you so much. Thank you for lending me an opportunity to present my first poem. Let me start. What sort of human am I? Nothing but an insect am I. Straddling at the tail of my rose, impassioned to traverse spiked thorns. She is the rose, while I am her insect, in a yard full of crows ring-necked. Despite the pain, insect's path tracked. Thorns are sharp, yet to be stepped. She is the rose that all blooms kneeled. She is the rarest, better to be concealed. For crows pursed to impair her, if revealed, frightening her with the tone they squealed. Her effulgence renders to sparkle the murky gardens. Fireflies were astonished as their tinkle hardens. Woe, said the nature, on the insect's fate. The rose chose him as he's her innate. Oh, my rose, why don't you dwell courageous? Your insect will haggle these crows' outrages. Though he's a trivial insect, like the rose perceive, yet his love for his rose, ample for crows to cleave. Thank you so much.
Oh, great debut. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. Glad the internet connection's good in Pakistan just so. Wonderful stuff. Thank you very much indeed. All right, let's continue this Decent Beings tour with his only Scottish performance via Zoom. Jeff Gossell, thank you.
Thank you, Finn. And yes, I will be joining Skylar and Neshka on the tour on October 15th. We're going to start in Worcester and go to a bunch of places. I will put the info in the chat again later. But catch Skylar and Neshka at the Blue Lamp, I think you said, in Aberdeen tomorrow night. So I have a couple of new pieces, relatively, untested, so they might suck. I don't know. You'll see. The first one is called The Crucible, a Rebuttal. Okay, folks, I'm going to say something here and you're not going to like it, but I've been hearing a lot of stupid bullshit around Salem lately, and it's time somebody stood up to it. So listen up, people. There is no witch hunt going on right now. There is no such thing as a witch hunt culture. Seriously, I mean, like, give me a break. All those people who say there's a witch hunt going on in Salem are just privileged and powerful people who are afraid of being held accountable for what they do and how it affects others. They're all just a bunch of pseudo-intellectual authoritarians who are so used to getting unquestioned support that if somebody challenges their behavior, calls them out in any way, they think it's some kind of violation of their freedoms. But you know what? Nobody owes you unqualified respect and tolerance, especially if your actions are harmful to the non-Satanists in your community. You know, actions like dancing or reading books too much or forgetting one of the 10 commandments when tested on them. I mean, duh. Just so you know, you can do what you want with your life, but other people don't have to put up with your crap or give you a platform for it. I mean, it doesn't shield you from criticism or consequences. If you get called out for being a witch, even put on trial and convicted for it, your rights and freedoms aren't being violated. It's just that other people in Salem think you're an asshole and they're showing you the door. Okay, sometimes it's a literal trapdoor under your feet through a scaffold, but you know what I mean. There is no witch hunt going on in Salem. I mean, do you people even know how stupid you sound? If there was a witch hunt going on, everybody who was called out for being a witch would be dead by now, but they're not. I mean, look at Sarah Good. She was called out and she's doing fine. Same with Goody Hoor and Goody Bibber too. They're doing fine. If you confess what you did, admit your mistakes, and vow to change your behavior, you end up doing okay in the end. That's not a witch hunt culture. That's a culture of tolerance and forgiveness. I mean, come on. But what about Goody Nurse and John Proctor and the Coreys and the rest, you whine? And don't get me wrong, I'm not totally without empathy and stuff. I know it probably isn't very nice to hang people for being a witch and all, but let's get real. You do witch stuff and you don't renounce it, you're kind of bringing it on yourself, aren't you? If you make us feel unsafe in Salem, of course we're gonna resist. I mean, guys, who said your right to be a witch trumps our right to live in a witch-free zone? And dude, stop comparing us to a pitchfork mob. That's so stupid. What a stupid hyperbole. We're not a mob. We're just ordinary folks who are sick and tired of overprivileged assholes with bad manners. I mean, if you're the next one who gets called out, here's some advice. Instead of whining that mean old Salem's out to get you for your witch stuff, think about all the advantages you've had in life, all that land you own, or the servants you oppress, or all the times people made poppets for you and you didn't even thank them. Then take a good, long, hard look in the mirror and say, hey, maybe I deserve this. And maybe it's time the less fortunate got their chance to shine in life, huh? See, that's all it takes. It's not a witch hunt. It's about fairness and equity. Good, I'm glad we had this dialogue. Now that you understand better what's going on, I'm hoping you'll all come out to the hanging tomorrow morning. It's going to be a good one. They've got Mary and Alice Parker and Goody Eastie and Goody Pootiator and a bunch of others. I've got some flyers with all the deets right here. Read the flyers, but that's it. Don't read any books. Don't be a goody Corey. Reading books is violence. See y'all tomorrow. So that was called The Crucible, a rebuttal. And I got a time for a second one, another new one. This one's totally new and untested. I wrote it like yesterday. It's called Bobby's Dreams. What I want to be when I grow up, by Bobby, age 8. When I grow up, I want to work in a cubicle. When I grow up, I hope I get to sit in a cubicle for 8 hours every day, looking at a computer screen. I want a small cubicle with a computer, a Garfield calendar, pictures of my family, and maybe a mug with a funny saying on it, like, "Don't you just hate Mondays?" Just like everybody else's cubicle. I hope I get to stay in this job forever and ever, and that the company never promotes me to another job with more money or a private office. I hope all my hard work makes a lot of money for the company, but not very much for me. When I grow up, I want to come home from work every night and eat a TV dinner with my wife and children, and then we watch game shows and sitcoms on TV until it's time for bed. I hope we live in a house that looks just like all the other houses on the block. I want to spend all my free time with my family and never meet other people. I hope the only friends we have are people we know from work and other family members. I hope we never go out anywhere for fun except to company picnics and cartoon movies with the kids. And when we talk about stuff, it'll be just small talk. I only want to talk about the weather and my job and the new TV shows and sports games and the neighborhood gossip. If anybody talks about big ideas, I will call them weird and report them to somebody. When I grow up, I never want to travel to other countries unless it's for work. If I get vacation time from my job, we will just use the vacation time to visit other family members who live in places where we can drive to. I hope I have no desire to learn about other cultures or see new places. When I grow up, I don't want to have any hobbies or passions. I don't want to take any classes or learn any new skills. I will never read another book, and I won't watch any movie that isn't made by Hollywood or it doesn't follow a strict formula. I will avoid anything that has subtitles except Star Wars. When I grow up, I will always vote for the people that everybody else I know is voting for in elections. I hope I don't take the time to read about the candidates and their ideas. When people ask me what I think about issues, I will just repeat all the points that everybody else I know is saying and nod and smile. I will never ask questions about anything or talk about things that don't make sense if you think about them too much. When I grow up, I want to go to church every Sunday morning and wear a nice suit. I hope I believe everything the minister says and never ask questions, and I hope I think I am better than the people who don't go to church. I will also punish my kids if they listen to loud rock music or read any books with bad words in them. That is what I want to be when I grow up. Teacher's note, A+, beautifully written and imagined, Bobby. I know your dreams will come true. That was Bobby's Dreams. Right, catch me in the UK later this month with Skylar Ineshka, live.
Thank you, Bobby's Dream. Yeah, that was great. Thank you very much, Jeff. Thank you. All right, we've got one more before we hit our feature point. So, ready to go? Kayana the Artista.
Hey, how you guys doing? I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in America and outside of the other country. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna do 2 poems for you guys. and I'll put all my information in the chat box. And my book is, her name is Journey. I'm this little shy girl that's called Journey. I've been called Journey all my life. How I know to be pretty? Is it a dark skin and pretty long hair? See, I'm pretty just the way I am. I'm the little shy girl that's called pretty. Hey, pretty, do I change the color of the rainbow? Do I change the color of my skin? See, I'm pretty just the way I am. I'm the little shy girl that's called pretty, pretty, pretty. I'm the little shy girl that wants to fit in all the right places. See, I'm pretty just the way I am. I'm the little shy girl that's called pretty, pretty, pretty. Do I wear jeans or do I skirt? See, I'm pretty just the way I am. I'm the little shy girl that's called pretty, pretty, pretty. I'm the little shy girl that wants to fit in all the right places. See, I'm pretty just the way I am. I'm the little shy girl that's called pretty. And that book design is, her name is Journey. We have a little girl who's been bullied and she's trying to overcome her fears and everything. So check her out on Her Name is Journey. And I'll be going on tour with that book in the fall. So here go my other poem. Thank you. All right. All in one. The attitude of character to visible love to unspoken word. I'm the artist. I'm the artist. He believe in God, believe also in me. I'm a woman. I'm a woman. I'm a woman with faith with God. What matters to me, what falls in place to never justify what you can become. Every day is a new day. Every day is a bright and sunny day. I tend to be with my friends to become even more. My deepest fear is to believe in yourself. To judge me because I am Black, this moment of speech. Now walk in my shoes. Now walk in my shoes. Now walk in my shoes. My naysayers can't say what to say about you because I am somebody, because I am somebody. To the natural hair, to the natural eyes, look at me. I'm natural. The sexy term is you. Is this mic on? Can I have your attention, please? Words and dream reality. So why I'm here? Because I'm the next generation. Thank you. And I put everything in the chat. I'm doing my open mic Wednesday and next Wednesday and other events for this whole month. And please check out my Eventbrite.com under Kiana the Artist. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you, Kiana. Well, always great to have you. Great stuff, wonderful, wonderful stuff.
Glad
tonight.
to be
Thank you
here
very much.
again.
Yeah, thank you. All right, it's that time of the night, day, afternoon, evening, whatever it is. He actually needs no introduction. We just know him as Petulia Clark's best supporter. Would you please give a great welcome to fabulous Richard Harris?
Thank you. Actually, I know some real fanatics, but I'm sure every artist has them. But I know them far worse than me. Ian Presnansky has asked me to do a poem tonight, so I'm going to start with it. And it's a very new one. So I'm glad you arrived in time, Ian. And I want to point out, although I'm 70, this is not about me. It's called How an Old Man Can Spend His Final Years. I am now old, in the autumn of my years, maybe even the winter of them. I am vastly rich. I've had a good life, no poverty, hunger, or homelessness for me. I can, in a way, be smug. I could buy a Caribbean island and have fun, and whatever rest I want or I feel I need, I can go where I want, travel, enjoy life, no complications. If I am ill, the best treatment, expense does not matter. So it can be instant. No waiting about for me lying on trolley in casualty for hours. But I like wealth and want more. A few billions is not enough for me. I like power and making folk crawl. I can call the lower classes the underclass, plebs, scum. I have thought about it. I will spend the last few years of my life making sure the underclass stays that way. No redistribution of wealth. Our lot is keeping it all. No equality for the scum. I will keep them down with all my strength and my last breath. It will be stressful and hard, as I will be attacked by the left. I will be vilified. But I want that power. It makes me alive. It's better than sex for me. I will keep the bastards down till the moment I die. And thank you for asking me to do that. Now, to people overseas, we have a couple of really evil, nasty bastards who have taken over from Johnson. And so they're called Liz Truss and Kwasi Kwarteng. And you need to know that. And if you imagine Trump has gone and you've got somebody bleeding worse, it makes us all very depressed and angry at the same time. Kwarteng's nonsense. A new mini budget announced by Kwarteng allows bankers to become richer, even richer as they fail the country and close the high street banks. And it takes the cap off the bonuses. How will that help people eat? How will that stop people freeze? Scrapping the higher rate of income tax for the rich, those not worried about heating or eating, the lowest incomes, well, not much at all. Kwarteng says we have thought too much about redistribution of wealth. Not so, the Tories never thought about that for a nanosecond. Then they attack the unions fighting what is right, as always. Attack universal credit claimants, as always, making them work longer or face benefits cuts when it's insane that people who work aren't allowed to work full time and can't earn a living wage. What bollocks. Instead of massaging figures, changing statistics, but not changing lives for the better, how about investing in and creating real jobs? Then, he says, if this does not work, they will borrow billions again. They will bring in more public service cuts. God help us. There's not much left. The quality of our lives has vastly dropped with decades of cuts. People always blame the local council when the council are as poor as church mice because of the central government. He calls the past policies ridiculous. Well, we've had over a decade and more of ridiculous Tories policies. And then a third one in this little set, which are all very new. Thank you. The IMF says, got up in the middle of the night as I do. Sleepless, turn TV on BBC. Smug white woman scaremongering about refugees and how many are arriving in the UK still and how they should be sent on to Rwanda, how that was legal and right. Across the bottom of the screen, in small letters, while she ranted on, distracting from the truth, are the headlines. The IMF is closely watching the UK economy. Oh yes, the International Monetary Fund. Remember them, they devalued the pound once before. They have noted the recent mini budget will likely increase inequality. Well, bloody hell, you don't need a degree to work that out. More ramblings about immigrants arriving from Mrs. Nasty, while the headlines continue. Bank of England rates may well rise again. Mortgage lenders halting some deals, so some poor souls can't move as they desperately want to. So while this is happening, let's rant about the cost of putting immigrants in hotels. I mean, there's been no big, posh, regal, extravagant expenditures recently, have there? The government are always so frugal while folk freeze and are hungry. Can't afford to live. Let's blame someone who is not yet even in the country. Labour is in front of the polls, and it's taken the economy to be so dire for that to happen. And it's a sort of set of poems, really. And I have disturbed, like Clive. Clive and I sometimes talk at 4 o'clock in the morning, we have disturbed sleep patterns, and I put on BBC, and it's only 5 minutes, and it makes me so angry that I end up with a poem, you know. So yes. Now, I have been known to wave a book at the cameras, and this one came out last year and was Stairwell Books bestseller of the year. So they've let me do another one, and this is out now, and I will put the link later in. It's actually out on the 1st of November, but I've got advanced copies, and it's called Iconic Tattoo. And so I will attempt to put the link in the thing. It's mainly some older poems because, of course, by the nature of publishing it, I compiled it 18 months ago, but I have slotted a couple of newer ones in. So this is Beautiful Me. So everything from now on is in the book. I am so lucky me. I am so attractive, sexy, and I am now 70, still have that great appeal. I know this must be so because on Facebook, so often I have young, beautiful, and often bare-breasted young women asking to be my friend, and it's all because of my great looks. And sex appeal, they tell me so. They say they want to have sex. Yes, sex with me. At first it was mainly from Asia, but now it's from everywhere. They tell me they want to meet me. All it will take is for me to send them the money for their flight, or even just my bank details. I must have greatly improved with age, as I did not have this problem in my 20s, women crawling all over me to get at my body. And it's not just my body they're after. They've seen my kind eyes, looked into them, have seen my generous soul. They've had the villages destroyed by hurricane or by volcanic eruptions, and they know I will just pay to rebuild them. They just Google sexy man. Now, not being totally stupid, nor yet having dementia, I block the bastards, because not only will they be thieves after me cash, but also they might be male, 80, syphilitic and called Stan. Of course, things can go wrong, as a friend got such a friend request from a woman he did not know, pretty and smiling. So blocking seemed to be the way to go. Turns out it was his stepsister's daughter who he'd not seen for years. Oops. Now only if he was not so damned attractive too. And the title of, thank you, you seem to like that one. It's just so true, isn't it? And if I post 10 poems, Facebook tells me I'm doing too many postings, and then they offer to post them themselves if I pay them. But they let all these things through, and you would have thought with some sort of algorithm, when people who I don't know and are not on my friends list or I have no mutual friend, but are bare-breasted, you'd think it was, and they're called something like Randy Bambi or something, you'd think they could get rid of them anyway. So the title of this was about how varied I am, and from a silly one, I'm going to probably the saddest one I've ever written, which again is in the book, and it's George Stinney. In 1944, which seems so long ago, but it is within my sister's lifetime, and just 8 years before I was born, in America, the land of the free, a 14-year-old black boy was executed for the murder of 2 little girls. He was placed in the electric chair and had to be seated on a large Bible, used as a booster seat. He was so small. The girls were battered to death. Their bodies were dumped in a ditch. The boy was George Stinney. He had spoken to them that day as they passed the house. He directed them to where they could pick certain flowers. That was all that was proven. He was arrested and taken from his parents, allowed no solicitor, even though the Sixth Amendment guarantees him one, allowed no visits from his family. They could not agree on the description of the murder weapon, and there was no blood found on George. At his trial, his counsel was a white politician campaigning for election in a town full of hatred where lynching was threatened. He cross-examined no one. George was alibied by his sisters, which they still swear is the truth. Yes, this is so close in time that some of the witnesses are alive. The trial, just 81 days after the murders, lasted 1.5 hours. The all-white jury were out 10 minutes. 1,000 whites packed the courtroom, not one black person allowed in. George was not allowed to see his parents until after his conviction. In America, the land of the free. At the trial, they allowed discussion of rape and even necrophilia, even though post-mortems pronounced the girls to be virgins. The trial papers have disappeared, as has an alleged confession, one made by a 14-year-old boy deprived of contact with parents or counsel. They killed him with a too large hood that allowed the tears flowing to be seen. His dad was allowed to approach him and speak to him just before he died, the only family contact he had had since his arrest. This was in 1944 in America. He was buried in an unmarked grave. 70 years later, the conviction was overturned for lack of evidence for being tainted with racism. They never found the murder weapons. How could a child hide metal objects so thoroughly? He could not. A real murderer ran free while they murdered another child. This was in America. George died because he was black. If anyone can't comprehend why Black Lives Matters, why we need to take the knee, they should research George Stinney. No one says other lives do not matter. What they say in America in particular, there is good reason to fear your early death if you are black, and that should never have been and can no longer be. And I get all emotional every time I read it. So I think the time to turn, I couldn't get further down than I couldn't get more depressing, could I? So I'm going to lighten the mood and I'm going to perform a poem which is nothing near as significant, but it is Iconic Tattoo. A young man, a physio, at the hospital helping me after hip replacement. Lots of extraordinary tattoos. Beautiful, expensive, striking indeed. On his right inner arm, a large image from wrist to inner elbow. A beautiful lady. I looked twice, seemed familiar, an iconic image of Twiggy in Pierrot costume from the Boyfriend film. But I thought it couldn't be, could it? He was in his 20s. He'd not know who Twiggy was, would he? So being me, I asked who it was. Some bird from the 60s. So Twiggy it was, dominating his arm, and he'd never heard of her. I told him about her and her recent fame as the stylish, mature woman in the M&S ads. How strange but wonderful that such an iconic image survives to be worn with pride by the young man. Well, he was interested and went off home to Google Twiggy. Then a surprise, as the icon in the new year became a dame. Now, I wonder if the physio knows. And I just was so bewildered because, you know, not normally have a football team or Petula Clark if you're thin, you know, and you're a closet fan or something like that. And that was a joke, Finn, you meant to laugh. Anyway, and I just was so puzzled by it, I had to write about it. And I've got another one called The Tattoo. I'm not sad anymore, said the plaque, held by the cute cartoon bird tattooed on the young man's arm. Now, I never know whether it's rude and intrusive to read messages tattooed on people's bodies. But if they don't want you to read the words and illustrations, why have they put them there so prominently in such bright colours and large letters? Being me, of course, I asked him why it was there. Oh, I'm in a band and it's one of my songs, was the reply. And knowing the people I know, that made perfect sense. So now, where should I have Iconic Tattoo and Awakening placed? Because that would seem to be the thing next, wouldn't it, for me? And then this is an older one, which has been turned into a song for one of these CDs for the Pier that I produce, and it's one of my favourite of the songs, and I've put it in the book. And it's really from life experience. And it's called We All Know, a Pinocchio. We all know one tells lies, but not for fun, lie through their teeth, no rhyme or reason, but all the time so wearying if they're in your life. Could not cope if it was the wife. There are some where if I asked the time or what it's like outdoors, I would pause and check, for they lie without cause in every respect and with no respect for you. Most folk lie to get out of trouble or get somebody else into crap or to gain reward or promotion or shift blame elsewhere. Pinocchio lies for no reasons. Could because they want to be liked, They don't know that if they did not invent stories and bull themselves up all the time, that they might be liked for themselves. But it's so tiring, checking and disbelieving all the time. That really pisses me off. Don't know why they are like this, but they are. And it's not fine, not all the time. So wearying. And, I have had liars in my life, very close people to me, and toxic. Then this one kind of shocked my wife. She kept saying, "You can't write that," as I read out the stanzas at a time. And it's called What Happened in a Field. She lay there exposed in the sun, spread wide, having such fun. The breeze stimulated her delicate surface. She was waiting for his wonderful embrace. He approached in a state of much excitement, his senses in a state of high enlightenment. He was excited at seeing her there, unveiled in her beauty, aloof and bare. He quivered and smelt her beautiful scent. She attracted him. He knew what that meant. She was glowing with colour and waved at him. He did not think that what he was about to do was sin. He hovered around her, drinking her in. She was so lovely, fine and thin. She had everything he needed there. There was nowhere else he'd rather be, nowhere. She was so beautiful, seemed so perfect to him, fulfilled his every need to the brim. When he was ready, he entered her there. She needed the loveliness and only for her did care. Once inside, he felt he was in heaven indeed. She was supplying his every need. He felt her touch on his bare back. She really knew what she was doing. She had the knack. How glad he was that she'd been in the field, so that to him she could readily yield. He moved around and had a great time collecting the pollen that was just fine. He had freed the nectar from that lovely flower and left it to take his treasure, his hive to endower. I trust that you realised at once that he was a bee and that she a lovely, wild, red poppy. And I was sat at the desk reading out, writing on paper and pencil, and I kept reading Eileen a line, and she kept saying, "You can't say that, you can't say that," but she didn't know where it was going. I've got a musical section in the book, and there are poems about Sam Cooke, Queen, Tina Turner, and Finn. Yes, there is one, but only one. This is Queen Concert, Elland Road, 1982. Occasionally, I have good luck, and fortune smiles on me. In 1982, I was given a task, paid good money, very good money, overtime, in fact, double time and a day off in lieu. What was my task so grim? Security. At a concert at Elland Road, a rock concert sold out, a stadium gig packed full of peaceful music lovers who wanted to hear and see Freddie, the great Freddie, with the rest of Queen. The teardrop explodes, Joan Jett and Heart were wonderful indeed, but they were obliterated the moment Freddie pranced on stage to the strains of Flash! Explosions and lights lit his way up on scaffolding erected as he sang. His charisma dimmed all else. I had no what to do as he transfixed the crowd. There may have been a certain mild scent in the air, but no trouble, no violence as he rocked with fat-bottomed girls, bow rap, and so many more. It was the time of my life, a halcyon day indeed, no rowdiness, as people gave themselves up to his genius and beauty. All revelled in his talent, that voice, that presence, the athlete in him, the wonder that was Freddie. He was surrounded by greatness as he rocked you, loved you, bit the dust with you, and was your champion. The rest of the band complimented him. Brian, with his big hair, was magnificent, oozing genius and charisma too. A great day, so many memories. I was truly blessed, and I am blessed for having been there that wonderful night. Then I've just got a few short little poems. Thank you. The book is dedicated to 4 young men. When I was young, One of my best friends died of leukemia when he was 14, and another one ran on the rugby field when we were all playing and dropped dead. He had an undiagnosed heart condition at 14, and then two died in a car crash at 20. So the book's dedicated to them. And this is a poem dedicated to one of them. Two boys played in the street, had fun, laid a foundation stone for a new church, posed with their trowels in the sun. Went to school together, had fun, grew older, off to senior school. At 14, one went on the rugby pitch, ran, tackled, collapsed, died. Had a heart condition that no one knew about. He never made 21. He had no more fun. I am 70, the other boy. The church is now weathered and old as I am. I have had so much fun, and that's not fair. So why did I survive? And it's, you don't know, it's not fair, is it? But then two little poems from a trip to London, and yes, Finn, it was to see Petula Clark in Mary Poppins. Damp, misery and glamour. In the glamour and rush of the West End theatre crowd, socialising and happy, £85 tickets, money well spent. A glittering shop, the window ablaze with light, bejewelled basques and teddies, tutus resplendent with net and glitter. Such extravagance and lavishness. £300, £400, and yes, £500. Frivolity and merriment. In the well-lit doorway, in front of these displays, a young homeless lad with a thin, damp blanket, shivering away. And then one from the return journey. Thank you. I've just seen the comment about Petula and £85, but of course she only sings one song. She's the bird woman, does feed the birds. So yes, it's quite an expensive song. But on the way back, we were on a coach trip, and bracelets and buttocks. Odd the glimpses of life you see of passing strangers on a coach trip behind two women. One holds a phone with a bright light screen. Attracts my attention in the dark, scrolls down a lot, likes jewellery a lot. Looks at gold jewellery, 40% off, clicking a lot to buy. Then between the bracelets, buttocks, naked buttocks, male buttocks, a lot. I didn't really get to know her, but when I think of that trip, I think of her and bracelets and buttocks a lot. And thank you very much for that. Now, this book, which is called Iconic Tattoo, has two fantastic and amazing poets doing the blurb and saying wonderful things about me. And one is Kemlin Tanbape, and the other is our wonderful Finn Hall. And he does actually manage to mention his favourite Petula Clark within the comments. And so thank you very much, Finn. And I'm just amazed and really, really amazed to get it. I was amazed to get one book out. I'm doubly amazed to get a second one. And so I'm a very happy 70-year-old, really. Thank you for everyone who bought the first one and anyone who wants to buy the second one. And it's selling very well already. I've already had to put 3 orders in. So anyway, yes, there you go. Petula, by the way, is 90 on the 15th of November, and she's still bouncing around the West End stage. That which is quite amazing. Of course, if she was American, the Americans would ticker tape parade her and treat her, like the lot of the the Golden Girl to Rose, who lived till 99, didn't she? But in England, we just think, oh, she's too familiar. She's been around too long, and we don't do that. We don't honour people, do we? But that's sad. But we could have street parties, couldn't we, Finn, on the 15th of November?
Yeah, we could. If we get her onto Blot, we're going to give her a ticker-tape parade on Blot. That would be fine.
Anyway, so I hope I timed that about right. And thank you all for listening. And it's been a joy to do.
All right. Thank you very much, Richard Harris. Thank you. Brilliant set. Brilliant set. Mind you, when you write about buttocks and bracelets and then you complain about getting all these people messaging you, for sex and things, I don't know who's to blame there. Thank you indeed, sir. Thank you. Once more, big round for Richard Harris. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Right. Let's move on. I'm going to try and read something here. That if I can find it, I had it a second ago. Yeah, here we go. Try something different that I wrote the other day. This is kind of more Clive's line of thinking, getting letters mixed up. And this one is called Every Third Letter N, which means I put the third letter N in every third word. So if I get through this, it'll be a bloody miracle. One fine day, I was out in my taxi. On a bend, a car passed. It was rend. What a dink was my thoughts. He could have just held bank for all it in bit of tonic. On his door, I then spied in big letters, this, canine cunts, poor wee dongs. I said aloud, I'll now, see I can't read it, I'll nod to no one in particular. Son, I shook mine head and carried on, wondering about him, that renally selfish bloke. You might think this is just the joke, but I am denadly serious. He nenadly caused a collision, and although accidents can happen, rules at times must be followed, or Penelope might get killed. I must relax and not get that far too pissed off. Life's too short. So on went the tune on my taxi stereo. Some cunt Stevens. First cunt is the dentist. Calmed right down in the dancing rank, sitting relaxed. Need to jot this down, this poem. Hope you link it. If not, you can bunker off. Well, that's hard. I don't know what Clive could manage that all the bloody time. Right, let's just carry on now. Please welcome back. It's a night for welcome back. Marky Mark.
Hi, it's brilliant to be back. It's been too long. Okay, a new piece that I've written. This is called This is Britain. It's 6:30 a.m. and the world is waking up, except Kerry. She's had too much in her cup.
I'm gonna ring off this thing. Give me a second. Give me a sec.
Sorry. Okay.
All right, okay.
Okay, I'll start at the beginning again.
Yeah, start again.
Okay. Actually, I should have given the trigger warning that there's some quite nasty scenes in this. So people have might want to go and get a cup of tea if they're a bit get a bit upset about death and things. Okay. Right. This is Britain. It's 6:30 a.m. and the world is waking up, except Kerry. She had too much in her cup and not enough on her plate. She's been hounded and berated, starved herself so her kids could eat, coerced, used and abused by every man she dated, worked part-time in a job she hated to feed the kids. She's grown tired of this hatred. Now she can't eat a house. The prepayment ran out several days ago. She needs help, but where, she doesn't know. She kissed the kids at 8 p.m. She's a good mum. She likes to be in bed by then. She sits alone in the dark, frightened at every noise, at every dog bark. By midnight, she sees the light and decides to give up the fight. The kids found their mum this morning, not breathing. Now they're off to school mourning, scarred and traumatised by what greeted them when they opened their eyes. Salted tears stinging pure soft cheeks. The memories were last year's, not weeks. This is Britain. A mile away, Ken shuts his eyes to pray that he might get a visit today. His carers are busy and can't stay 30 minutes 3 times a day. He won't have breakfast until 11 AM. Staff shortages, same story every day. He went to bed at 7 last night. He couldn't get up to use the toilet, laid in urine-soaked incontinence pads. That can't be right. He thinks back to the trenches and the bombing at night, wishes he hadn't survived, hero of the past. His cares are fast, the system's on its arse. Now he's counting the days until from his life he will pass. Yeah, this is Britain. Morris lays under a blanket. He was lucky and found food last night and a shelter to lay his head. He'll have fresh socks and a breakfast to eat before going back to the street. Morris was a well-paid man until money got diseased. He lost his job, his home, his self-esteem, and now he consults white lightning and sleeps on the streets, goes to bed and dreams of fresh sheets, dares not sleep at night. It's too frightening. He's abused and punched and kicked and spat at during the night. He tries to keep out of sight. The cold bites his body. His toes have long since gone numb. Tonight's a good night. Tomorrow, he does not know what's to come. And this is Britain. Broken by the disease of status and money, working to live for dry bread and no honey. Sound bites and spin and chucking money in the system when it's broke. Politicians aren't woke and the kids make more money selling coke. This is Britain. We're going to the bank is about getting food, and heating and eating is affected by crude. Different leader, message the same. Poor looked on in disdain. Fat cat bonuses uncapped, while the rest are living with the shame. Relentless work, always the same. Everyday drudgery, carrying the blame. It's always the same. Yeah, this is Britain. Sorry, let's just get this bit down. Where protest is put down by state enforcers, silent politicians and corrupt endorsers, crushing the people like lambs to the slaughter, thinking more of the value of their bricks and their mortar. This is Britain. Yeah, this is Britain. Thank you for that one. If I've got a bit of time, let me do something a bit funny this time, which I wrote a little while ago. I don't think I've performed it in the Blot, so it'll be a bit cheerier. This one will be. Let me have a look. Right, this is called Peggy Went to Skeggy. For those of you that don't know, Skeggy refers to a seaside place called Skegness, which is in the southeast of England. It's quite a popular resort. So this is about Peggy going to Skeggy. We picked up Peggy in her flowery dress, wide-brimmed hat and socks with sandals, dressed for a day at Skeggy. She sang all the way there with the wind in her hair and the odd farts when the motorist stared. We arrived at Skeggy with the car smelling eggy and a hoarse-voiced Peggy. She made for the beach and donkeys she did spy. Before we could stop her, she was on a donkey named Eddie. Off went the donkeys along the beach, but Eddie didn't move an inch. His owner produced a wooden cane and whacked him on the arse. Eddie took off like a thing insane, and Peggy hung on to his mane. Eddie shot across the sand and rocks until we could no longer see Peggy's bright pink socks. We searched all day and most of the night with the police and the Coast Guard, but Peggy and Eddie were nowhere to be seen. We slept in the car in case they came back before from where they had been. Then, just as the sunrise and the turning of the tide, out on the rocks, pink socks we did spy. Peggy strolled from beneath the pier with Eddie the donkey laid across her shoulders, a little bit wonky. She placed Eddie in his trailer to sleep the day away and told us how they'd galloped so far away before they stopped at a bar, and after curry and several beers they decided to get their head down under the pier. So we went to our car and drove the miles home, and Peggy slept with a fart from her ass and a smile on her face and remembered the day she met Eddie at Skeggy. Thank you.
Can I just say it's in the north, not the south? It's near me. I go there quite often. But it was a great poem.
It's south from me, so it's fine. Thank you, Mark. Great
That's
to have
right,
you
thank
back.
you.
Mate. Great to have you back, mate. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks.
Cheers. Thank you. All right. Next up, a man who'll be with me at the Blue Lamp tomorrow on the Decent Beings tour. Joe. Wow.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. A bit, I think. I'm reading 2 poems tonight. And one's about rain and water, and the other's not. The first one's called This Day Belongs to Rain. This day belongs to rain, and rivulets trailing down misty panes, soaked grass and dripping shrubberies, and waterfalls cascading from grateful trees, gutter torrents and pebble rapids that scupper ice lolly stick barges, and soggy socks and squelching boots from voyages into puddle lagoons. Bathing birds and showering frogs, snails and slugs on moss-covered logs, gushing spouts that flood from high and rainbow hues that paint the sky. This day belongs to rain and its power to invigorate and sustain and nurture the green that feeds in turn and breathes. The rain will not persist with drenching might and drop a week's worth in just one night, in terrifying torrential walls and sheets that washes the ground from under my feet. It won't sweep away my house and car and drag the children from my arms. It won't make me stand naked under the sky with empty hands and desperate eyes. And it won't make me camp on a narrow causeway and make me rely on hope and prayer. This day belongs to rain, just one day after many abstained. One day of deluge, then respite as it drains in this green and fortunate place. This day belongs to rain, it is welcome. I can celebrate. I can walk in it and feel it saturate on this day of rain. Thank you. And the second one is one I wrote a while back called Cowboy. I think I wrote it one night when I was starting to feel older. I'm a cowboy. I sing cowboy songs with the sunset on my shoulder. I'm an old man. I sing old man songs, sometimes lonely and getting older. I'm a cowboy. I sing cowboy songs as my campfire burns down slowly, like the fire in my loins and eyes, less vital and some colder. I'm a cowboy. I sing songs of the prairie and of love gone. I'm an old man. I sing old man songs, sometimes lonely and getting older. I'm a cowboy without defences, lonesome with broken down fences. I'm an old man with a distant gaze and dulled and dusty senses. Pictures in black and white are my fading memories of untamed places coloured brightly, once crucial and vivacious. I'm a cowboy. I sing songs of sorrow and of a world passing. I'm an old man. I sing words of men who never knew they mattered. I'm a cowboy with head hung low, remembering a tangible past, on a horse under the sun and the moon, and a kiss that was over too fast. I'm a cowboy. I sing cowboy songs of rolling time and of peoples gone. I'm a drifter. I sing songs of lost places, of byways and forgotten faces. I'm a cowboy. I sing cowboy songs with the sunset on my shoulder. I'm an old man. I sing old man songs, sometimes lonely and getting older. Thank you. That's me.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you.
Welcome.
Indeed. Cheers. Thank you. Glad
See you
could
tomorrow.
join. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Thank you much. Great stuff. All right. Next up, welcome back, Neema.
Thank you. Hi, I'm going to share a couple of pieces with you. First piece is from my upcoming poetry collection, COVID, the Wordy Wilds of a Mind Under Lockdown, which is available to buy from tomorrow. The Unmoored Moor. In the scorched Arab Peninsula, the Brotherhood faces the Qabla. The oil fields runneth over. I am the poor relation, too African to qualify. In sub-Saharan Africa, where the forests are shrinking, in the mines buried twinkling, scrambled Africa on toast. For the first world we host, rejected by the flock, too Arab for Africa. In the place of my birth, the gluttonous annals of power, exploited labor devoured without recourse, a Trojan horse foraging in riches unearthed, a geographical accident of birth, a square peg in an ethnic box, identity in a tick, which self to tick, a nullidad's paradox. Thank you. And my second piece is one where I've kind of explored Islamic folklore. So I'm just going to put some footnotes in the chat because it might be easier to understand what I'm talking about if I've explained a few things. This piece is called La Femme Fatima, which was kind of inspired by the Hand of Fatima. La Femme Fatima. Fatima lived in a far-off land, the prophet's daughter with the power to slaughter, jinns with a wave of her hand. Her gift, stronger than his story, dicing with demons through the ages, foiling the assaults Shaitan wages. See my 5 fingers and meet my eye. A protector ascending patriarchy, her command beyond the squabbles of man, the force of legions in her delicate hand, dispersing Azrael's minions by Allah's decree, where resentful eyes vex and hex with Lain. In the harmony of husband and wife comes Dasin causing conflict and strife, from the fires of Samum, Ghadar mangling the seeds of men, summoning Artials to soothe our woes, kept safe in Ismail's prayers, Wasin silencing the thoughts of fear, Aisha Kandisha driven from men's souls. Lullabies of the Houri greet our dreams. Under her eyes, jinns tumble like toy figurines. Fatima still bringing protection when old protectors are forgotten. Rising out of the age of men, a force of feminine splendor, cursed men call for the gentle defender to send Aferit back to their realm. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Neema. Wonderful stuff. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Next up, please welcome Rick.
Thank you, thank you. I want to thank you for letting me join this wonderful band of poets. It's so intoxicating to hear all this wonderful work. My first piece is to science. You know, we have this weird Luddite strain in America right now where people just hate science and all. It's just crazy. But yeah, I think that I have to support science. So I'm going to knock on a wonderful piece of science that just recently happened, where we sent a rocket off to knock on the door of an asteroid. Here we go. 470 million miles. Dimorphos and Didymus, quite a pair. We thought we'd strike them, but we'd settle for a spare. Didymus, reconnaissance and asteroid camera. For optical navigation, Draco is all it has. Sole mission is to smash and give the asteroids a forceful pushy bash. Speeding at Dimorphos at 4 miles a second, a dart headed for its final destination. With a kind of AI-assisted rival reservation, not to land, but just to reckon. Also a very special, noisy kind of check-in. Racing to a rendezvous just to knock it about, and then we're through. Determined to shake and shout. A tiny defensive earthquake make 4 miles in 1 second makes quite an impact, or so it's reckoned, make no mistake. Dimorphos is the rendezvous, a tiny tap for mankind, a brutal slap, but it may be sublime. The journey through the deep distance mapped a planetary defense at an asteroid shoved from its position, relentless slapped. We're not opposed. We'd like to keep our current rents, a special frugal kind of defense. But will it be measured? What service Dart has made it? Or should we be nervous and maybe hide our eyes and shade it? The entire scheme, a kind of sci-fi dream, to push it about from that tiny spot, a chunk of heaven from 1 to 11. Dimorphos had many similarities to other asteroids that our rockets have visited instead of avoided. The spacecraft from Earth had gotten quite looks at recently. Particularly, it resembled a pile of rubbish rather indecently. Can we maneuver a great space rock, despite all the destruction, give it a shock? And even more damage the right wing can do when they mock from their antique vantage. We'll see in coming weeks when all the space telescopes send in their fresh new peaks. And one more piece I would like to share. This again in that idea of doubting science. This is called Doubting Science as a Service. Exactly what part of explorations do you favor? Study weather, or should we do that later? What kind of science is in compliance with your plans? What can you stand? You'll take no study of virus from Afghanistan? What kind of science do you favor? What kind of science can we still put to labor? How about oceans? Not something you've got an interest, or human biology, no money in it? Medicine or viruses doesn't change your tires? What are the things you'd like to study? Tell me, please, will you, old buddy? All those tedious experiments with electricity, maybe we might as well go climb a tree. As you drive your carriage pulled by horses, or does even animal husbandry make you nervous? What about fire? Do you think it's just a fad, or does all that thinking just make you mad? Doubting Science.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, sir. Brilliant stuff. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, back on to read his own piece on his own this time. Please welcome back Bilal.
Thank you, Fen, for rendering me a chance once again. First, let me put the light onto the theme. Basically, the theme is the earth calls out the braves again. It means the earth is missing the brave people, honorable people who led their life for the greatest cause and served their country. So I begin. The earth calls out the braves again, who with dignity dwelled, with ephemeral lives but in vain, it didn't go to tyranny, it rebelled. How dexterously waved once their saber swords, when quivered the despot kings on the battlefields, desiccated heads of these false lords, stalwart to their country, they were its shields. For justice' sake, what is it they didn't do? With graceful walk came to gallows, kissed the noose on which they were hanged to, for preaching creed to their fellows. How proud would be the lands they fought for, brought honor to their shores. Their speeches as in rage the lion do roar. History with orate pen wrought their wars. The earth now lingers, it does mourn. Who shall be to fret not or stand, and valor be shown to crush feeble fate written on hand. The earth now don't see those men. Scars are the spirit of truth in whose veins flow. How many are within the heart of man? The poor meeks who to tyrants do bow. I'm done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bella. Thank you once again. Thank you. Brilliant stuff. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. All right. Ian M.
Oops. Good evening, everyone. Some wonderful stuff going down tonight. I've just got one poem. It's a slightly longer one. It's I think I kind of give a nod to Edgar Allan Poe and Walter de la Mare, but it's a topical, I think there's recent events going on politically in the UK. I thought it was a good opportunity to dig this one out and dust it off and give it another go. I think I've only done it once before. It's called What We Do in the Shadows, and in brackets, a fable of modern day vampires. Just a little bit of information, it's reference to Bank and Leadenhall. Some of you may know, but those are two places within the area of the City of London, the financial district in London. So it's a brief reference. So here we go. In the early hours just before the dawn, as it happened, I was wandering, lost somewhere in between Bank and Leadenhall. The air was cold, and on the ground the frost laid tracks of my staggered path heading home, still dulled and weary from the night just past, when a dark figure stepped out from the shadows beneath an edifice of steel and glass. He appeared well-suited, shoes polished shiny, a suave, well-heeled man of the world he seemed, decked out in the best Balmain or Armani. Some rich banker, Panjandrum, I assumed, who would normally avoid the company of a wasted wanderer such as me. And so we walked together side by side, he regaling me with brazen details of his success and how he'd made his pile of gold with certain acumen, making deals. He appeared to swell with awful venal pride, with bared teeth he leered, he held nothing back, he revelled in casting others aside, stealing the shirts from off their broken backs. You probably will think ill of me, he with sideways glance and cunning smile surmised, and I felt sick at heart to look and see the boring gaze of those stone-cold, bloodless eyes, and I wondered why he kept company with a haggard, tired waster such as me. And in all honesty, I could not demur at this candid confession of cruel contempt, but just like any arse-whipped cur, I held my tongue, fearing to look a fool, so we continued walking further on, as dim-lit thoughts nagged at my slothful mind, and yet I could not put my finger on what it was that troubled me, could not find any rational clue to explain my crazed, befuddled fears, whereupon I looked to see in the plate glass sheets, and all amazed, no reflection there of anyone but me. And I wondered what kind of company I kept and what was looking back at me. Just then a thin edge of light began to break like a knife blade slitting the tarnished night. And just then I felt myself begin to shake, which I could not control, try how I might. And as he turned on me his baleful glare, I winced as he slowly began to speak. All seemed as in a dream, a dark nightmare, as he said it was time for him to leave. What goes on in the shadows remains there. That's the best advice I can give to you. What we do in the shadows is our affair. With that, he promptly disappeared from view, and I shuddered to think of that company now gone, but which would go on haunting me. Thanks, that's finished.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you. Lovely words as usual. Thank you much indeed. Thank you. Okay, next up, Diane.
Good day, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I'm having some computer problems as well, Finn. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Yes?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to read one piece of mine and that I've written, and then I want to introduce you to a poet you may or may not know. Her name is Maureen P. Medina. She has a new book out. It's called My Fears Out Loud. And she is published by Marissa Prada, Red and Green Books, Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I'm going to read this because Leslie and Joe talked about water. And this is titled Dancing in the Rain. My mom let one day I closed my umbrella, put my thing.
Sorry, Diane, you're breaking up. Yeah, we can't hear you very well.
Okay, I'm going to turn my video off. Maybe that will help. Okay.
Try that, yeah.
Okay. Dancing in the rain. My mom never let me dance in the rain. She was told that anything could kill me because of my heart. As I got older, I feared the rain and many other things. One day I closed my umbrella, put my things in a dry place, ran out into the rain and danced in it. The cold drops shocked my body, awakening my sense of wonder. I bathed in my liberation. Then I ran to dry up in case it was true, but I didn't die. Instead, I lived. Then it occurred to me, what else was my mother told? What else was I told that simply was not true? I danced in the rain. There I found the questions. I'll put her information in the chat. Her name is Maureen P. Medina, and the book is titled My Fears Out Loud. I'm going to read one piece of mine and then that's it. Dr. Doris Derby is a photographer and an activist, and she wrote, she has wonderful photography, a book of photography, Dr. Doris Derby. She hasn't been well. She's been hospitalized a few times. And this was written from an aphractic piece that she has with hands uplifting to God. It's called Certainly, Lord, You See Side by Side Our Outstretched Hands. I wrote, I live and breathe, I work and toil, yet my voice remains out of your laws. You cannot deny me my right to vote, though you've tried with whip, dogs, and old white men's hopes. So I continue to protest, organize, and strategize. Certainly, Lord, you see side by side our outstretched hands. I work well with neighbors. I raise fine, strong, healthy sons and daughters. We strive for the good of all peoples, and yet we are the enemy. We pay taxes, survive racist wages, and still you wonder why I keep my smiling gaze. I see beyond to a greater dawn. My heaven is assured despite you. So I continue to protest, organize, and strategize in plain sight every day. And you're scared of me. I'm not afraid of you. Certainly, Lord, you see side by side our outstretched hands. I will continue to grow bold and use your lies against you. Keep my mind and my heart in what I know is true. There is no reward until this fight for our votes, long overdue, is secured legislatively and fully constitutionally in tune. We'll continue to vote in our Congress and Senate for true fighters, our strongest defenders. Our voting cause is no light venture. Our futures need securing without lie, debt, or on credit. Our honest actions need no penance. Certainly, Lord, you see side by side our outstretched hands. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much, then. That was wonderful stuff again. Thank you. I love it when you come on here and not just do your own stuff, but share someone else's as well. That's just wonderful. It's very generous of you too. Thank you. All right. Earlier slot than normal. Clive Osman.
Oh, right. I thought Ian was before me. Okay. Right. Right, I'm ready. I'm going to do two. I know my video is switched off at the moment. I'm going to do two, both relatively new, although some of you have heard them at various places. So I apologise for inflicting them on you again. But okay, so. Hello. Is this heaven? It is. Where are my ancestors? But oh shit. Looks like my foot.
Clive, you've got your voice it's breaking up as well.
Is it?
Yeah. I thought for 1 second it was deliberate, but obviously not.
No, it's not. No. I don't know what I can do. I suppose I better switch my camera off then. Which
you're all right there. I don't know why it went.
Right, I'll start again then.
You've gone clear now. It was all odd before, but now it's fine.
Probably it's the powers that be thinking I shouldn't be doing this.
Finn,
Okay.
can we just make sure everyone else's mic's on mute? Because there could have been some sound interruption from another mic. Because Naima doesn't look like she's on mute, so I'll just go back on mute.
Right, okay, let's start again then. Can you hear me, Mother? Okay. Hello. Is this heaven? It is. Ancestors? Oh shit.
I think we're having communication problems from the underworld, Clive.
Say again, sorry?
I think we're having communication problems from the underworld. The Queen's not coming through very clearly.
Okay, I'll scrap that one then. I'm not in a very persevering frame of mind, so I'll scrap that one. I've just knocked everything all over the floor as well. I'm doing really well. Okay, so let's try the other one then. If this don't work, I'm gonna scream and scream and scream until I'm sick. So right. So this one. Right, are you hearing me at the moment? Yeah, so if I break up again during performance, we all know I'm being sabotaged by the royal family or something. So, okay, this is one that I had problems with the keyboard again on my computer. You know, it's happened before, and I think this was probably the Queen, you know, the ghost of the Queen getting revenge or something like that, because, you know, I can't think of any other reason why it would have happened. But this time, the B and the W got mixed up on my keyboard. And I don't know how it's happened, but I ended up with rubbish like this. I bus a little Wick Ward. It bus Wank Holiday Monday. I had a day off Burke. What I bus on my oven, with nobody to talk to. I started thinking about wanks, as you do on such days. I wank Bith Warkley's wank, and it is inconvenient when they close on a Monday. I know there is a hole in the ball to satisfy your needs, but it's still inconvenient. I don't wank over the internet because I don't wink it is safe. There are scamming wastards on the Burl Bayou. I put some clothes in the bashing machine and sat down to batch TV. I remember as a kid batching Will and Wen the Flubberpup Men on the Wee Sea. I put a wit waffled at the bay they spoke. What it was wonderful vibing. Today's TV is total bollocks, utter bullshit, total bank. So I switched off and listened to music, starting with Wow Marley and the Bailers, then the Weetles, then revisited Nevermind the Wallocks, here's the Sex Pistols. I thought I may go home to Birmingham. What I looked through the bin dob and noticed it was Bet and Bindi, a wit like Binter. I would certainly need my Bellington Woots. One could almost imagine having snob shobbers with longer snob flurries on high ground. I decided to stay home and watch a programme on Knob TV about cricketer James Anderson, one of England's greatest ever fast wobblers. When that finished, I had a few wattles of Weir, some backy wacky, and washed my wisher. I eventually found the energy to go shopping. It took me a while to get there. I'm a bit of a slob coach. I decided to buy a bunch of flubbers, not from the florist, cheap flubbers from the supermarket. Bought some food items too, had an unexpected item in the wagging area, which basted a wit of time. When I got home, I took the bashing out of the bashing machine before preparing dinner. I had wangers and mash, with gravy, of course. Soon, I had wanger gravy all down my shirt. It's general knowledge that wanger gravy on your clothes is not a good look, so I had to put that in the bashing machine too. Batter based of a wank holiday. Thank you very much.
The Queen obviously liked that one because she didn't try to corrupt it from beyond the grave. So thank you very much. What a strange night it is for technical problems tonight. Let's see if we can get through. Ian P next, and then Kate.
Hello, hi guys. Great to see everyone. Big problems with my laptop. The fan is making terrible noise, so I'll switch to my phone. Okay, the first one, little bit of comedy, my attempt. It's called Chicken, Shots and the Devil's Nectar. Keep it real. Listen to Scar from the Wheels of Steel, yet beware intoxication, for the devil's nectar has ruined many a soiree, destroying pleasure. So, order your chicken meal en route to your night's damnation, but do not call him boss man or pretend to be a gangster, with insecurities imprisoned by paper chains. So order your chicken meal, maybe the number 4 deal. Again, the batter-caked carcass you spill, salivating like a dog you kneel. Those crust-caked nails seize spilt skin, as relief sits under plastic Art Deco, cocooned within stained Ralph Lauren. Yet tonight, the devil's nectar slain your dignity. Though you are grateful to rehydrate and chill, it's too late, for you'll never make it up the hill. Beware the devil's nectar. That's the first one. The second ones are some haikus. Some of them are slightly bonkers. I'll power through those. Apologies if any of you heard them. Love. Love's sincere purpose will dissolve separateness, making many one. Fighting. Egos in battle clash with foolish recklessness, anxious for respect. First date. The expectation is not to complete the self. Start with flirtation. Putin. To control masses, welding narrative with death. History repeats. Laughing. The door is open, releasing charmed emotion. Sparkling, smiling eyes. Cats. Feline arrogance, revealed with grace of movement as they seize your lap. Cost of living crisis. The tough times are here. Help others and spread some cheer. Soon we'll clink our beer. Right, two more. This one's called Lost. I did this the other day in a writing workshop called Apples and Snakes. It's a homage to the village I grew up in just outside London. Buddy, where's a proud church with stable steeples? Hidden within Down Village, nestled within lush green lands, grounded by welcoming woodland. Don't you know? Did your mind slip? Did the quiet calm buckle your orientation? Brother, you've intoxicated by memories, resonating from the grassy copse, where trees resonate smiling whispers, with leafy arms weaving the wind, where contentment beckons your soul. And one more, I was walking through Canary Wharf the other day, which is basically one of the financial districts in London. It's like the American equivalent of Wall Street. It looks something out of a Blade Runner set, to be honest with you. So I'm going to share my screen on here. Oh God, right, how does it work? Hang on, do you know what?
Down at the bottom, look for the green button.
Right, okay. Okay, the green button. Now I've got all these options, OneDrive and camera and all this kind of stuff. So if I go to photo,
Main, choose main. That generally shows your screen.
What do I press?
When you after you press the share screen, just click main, click the default, and that'll show the main screen.
Oh right, hang on. Screen. Yeah, okay, got it. Sorry about this. Okay, here we go. Allow permissions, and I think I'm done.
It's coming.
Yeah, can you see it? Right, okay. So this is where I used to work on the 23rd floor in Citigroup. I had my own little cube, my own little office space, like Jeff described. That's the first picture, that's the second picture, and that's the third picture. The duality of money. Beautiful, yet so ugly. Red roses or poison ivy. Alcohol, blazing lights with barroom fights. Creativity, affinity, a wider perception. See the silver monoliths silently beckon. Shining smoothly, yet seducing like a siren. Powered by noble dreams laced with aspiration. No flesh, curves, emotion, or connection. Just drones within a wider system. Welding virtue or corruption. Echoing freedom or subversion. And that's me for tonight. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ian. You better stop sharing your screen now. That's it. That's it, yeah. Thank you. Well done. Thank you. I'd never tried sharing my screen through my phone before, but it can be done. Thank you. All right. Looks like someone's sporting a new poetry hat.
Yeah.
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 Right. Take it away, Kate.
Thank you, Finn. Yeah, isn't it great, this? Doncaster Market, if you're interested in getting one of your own. So I have written a sestina. So if you know what that is, cool. If you don't, it's quite a complicated rhyme structure. So you'll hear the end words repeat in this poem. It's called I Wish I'd Stayed in Touch with My Friends. I wonder why I have no friends. I wish I'd stayed in touch. I wish you were still here. I wonder at all the letters I never sent. SOS messages bobbing, lost at sea. I think of all the time I wasted. I think of all the love I wasted. There are many different kinds of friend. My heart is driftwood in the sea. We cannot hug if we fear to touch. I miss you now you're absent. Your voice is the one thing I long to hear. Your absence casts a shadow here. I think of all the joy I wasted. Flowers pressed that have no scent. Solitude can sometimes be a friend. Your old letters smell of your touch. I may long for you, but will never see you. As I often look wistfully out to sea, it's when I notice most you are not here. Our hands in each other's warmth, in touch. Our friendship was never wasted. I didn't know what made you a special friend. I never thought beyond the present. I wish your goodbyes were never sent. Broken apart by things I couldn't see, I have no one else to call my friend. Recalling conversations I no longer hear. I think of all the hope I wasted. I miss your closeness and your touch. Time twists away as I strain to touch your memories. Their melancholy scent reminds me of the life I've wasted, watching footprints washed away by sea, leaving me stranded, always alone here, when all I wanted was you, my friend. Could I have stayed in touch? I was no friend to you. I see now how much effort you wasted trying to be present for me, to be here, to be loved. And then a little tiny haiku to finish, because my brain, probably like everyone else's, thinks in rhyme. Here's my haiku. My brain is a slant rhyme. It ticks to the tock of Kairos time. Tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick. Thank you.
Yeah, now you're talking, or are you ticking? I don't know. Thank you.
I'm ticking all the time.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kate. Right, let's see if Terry, this sounds working and ready to go.
Hi. I have one called Rebellion Against the Caretaker, and then I have a follow-up one that's a correction to fact check on the previous poem. So, you didn't know any better. I was an inside kid, and my mom kept me there, uncomfortable with the outside world. You had 6 other mouths to feed. Who had time to cater to insecurities? Could I be traumatized? What did you know about the subtleties of my mind? You'd been the second caretaker to put me outside like a dog that needed to pee. Even a dog owner would not leave its valued family member outside all day. You did let us inside to use the bathroom, but tossed out again immediately after. Lunch was burnt toast and soup. You would scrape the burnt off and serve it to us anyway. My mom would never burn food, but you had 6 mouths to feed, and with my sister and me, it was 8. You did not waste food. I understand this now. You taught me that. I still remember how your face would turn beet red when you were angered, and how you used to scream. I was terrified as I watched you chase around the disobedient with your shoe in hand. Your son used to do things purposely to rile you, and he would mock you when you lost it. I did not think anything you did was funny. So that's that first piece. This is a correction, a fact check on the previous poem. Sometimes our memory fails us sometimes our memory fails us and even gets replaced by an entirely new manufactured one. That is better, yes, better than the actual truth. This is what we call poetic license, or the right to change the narrative, and so it goes with this change. The caregiver who was my first experience with anyone other than my mother and the family could have been nice enough, but in my childlike mind, I would not give them a chance. I put myself out of this home by removing myself and sitting outside, waiting for mother to come back and get me. Obviously, I was not ready just to be without her. While she was at work, I probably was 3 or 4 or younger, but I do remember being well acquainted with the milk box on the front porch. That was cold, and I used to rest there, crying, waiting for my mother, refusing to go inside.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Terry. Thank you very much indeed. Great to hear you again. Thank you. All right, moving on. We're getting there. We're getting there. We have an early finish tonight for a change, please. Mr. Greg Slade.
Hello, everyone. What a lovely afternoon here in Nashville. Guess it's evening for y'all. This is Otis now, shush. This is called Knowledge of Good and Evil. The definite God and the possible God seem to have been placed in the end at odds. What many seek the Creator for is the nature of the uncreated, truly. I try to think of them as one and the same myself, thinking our seeing is the way they are separated. Duly, the definite God brings us the bread and the rain, observation, expectation, confirmation, again and again. The definite God has created us, given us this life we are sure of, sureness, certainty, clockwork motion, the definite God, the sum and the quotient, the total of those moments that have made you, those you've grown in. The unspoken need, though, grows as well, but so largely unseen, something a little unnerving by comparison to the clarion. The call seems somehow unclean, uncertain, unsure, unmoving, at times to times please. Intrigued, but not knowing just what you truly see, inspired by a thing you can't bring yourself to truly to believe, the forgotten God of what we call now impossible things. The possible God, the uncreated one, we are soothed by but do not seek, that primordial hum, for the future is more than the sum of the things we've done, more than the numbered names of the rising and setting suns. So too is the way we came, much more than the numbers and names we know, as above then some say, so below, as within they say, so too without, as the universe they say, so is the soul. The translation can be confusing indeed, detailing a likeness as to, but also from, the past and the future, the uncreated one, the seeking leading us somehow to whence we have come. Having left the definitive, we have made into our home, moving toward a future heretofore unknown, the past long forgotten, yet still breathing through. The heart, having learned to stop, is still beating, though too. However definitive your gods have become, The uncreated made it all and can make it all undone. The possible God can make it too better than anything we know now to be true. Tell me my God is impossible. With glee see the truth be refuted. Limit yourself to the handed down creed that the spirit unseen might be more easily muted. I can hear the minds that move like machines now, insisting which wisdom is to be most strictly excluded. The definitive guide to what guidance their God had and hadn't included in the book of good and bad, from whence good and evil is to be or not to be intuited. Is it possible that our understanding has become too convoluted? Renaming a thing in place of the way it was meant to be transmuted, saying we've been saved instead of seeking some higher union. We close our eyes when we pray, for what is most holy cannot be seen by the eyes of a human.
Yay. Thank you very much, Mr. Slade.
It's knowledge of good and evil.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
These Nashville cats, man, clean as country water. Thank you. All right. Next up, welcome back. It's been a while. Caroline Wolfing.
Thank you. Oh yeah, it's been a little too long, hasn't it? Hi, evening everybody. What a nice evening to come back to. I have 3 if that's okay, but I'll take a time check with you after I've done 2, Finn, and just see where we are. This one I wrote to accompany Judy Sutherland's Taser work, which is brilliant. You should look her up. It's great. We did it as a Crossing Tees festival. We were asked to do poems about rivers, and this one I've done about the Tees, so I'm going to share that with you this evening. The Tees. This loutish urban fox, slicked back serpent, sometime swollen corpse, oblivious to your cares, does not stop to wipe your tears, even as you soothe your soul on its boundaries. It wefts and wends through marked sporks, slices towns, fields, forests, factories, marks its territory with pungency, industrial tinctures to musk perfumes stippled as white beam. This sleek, full-bodied creature pushes on, hungry, towards bigger things. It cushions, covers, nestles, sweeps, folds, slops, and slicks its way. Scatters fertile silver tracks in summer, gristles its way through winter, coating all things brown. Whispers or roars as its mood changes. It gives life and takes it. Sacrifices its banks to slavery, finds a path round the barriers and cleans the bed it lays in. This loutish urban fox, slick back certain, tips trees and scavages the hillsides, tumbles and tosses 1,000 voices, creates the awe and liminal spaces, oblivious to your cares, does not stop to wipe your tears, even as you soothe your soul on its boundaries. Cute. For my second one is actually one I wrote for the Hartlepool Waterfront Festival, then got COVID, so couldn't perform it. So I'm going to perform it here, if you don't mind. And embedded within this poem are words and sentiments adapted from some of my favourite Welsh songs, because that's originally where I'm from. I am Welsh, and we have this great word in Welsh called hiraeth. When you translate hiraeth, it roughly translates as a nostalgia, a longing for a time past, or a nostalgia and longing for a home that may or may not still exist. And there's no equivalent of it in the English language, but I love it and I love the role of it. So this is called hiraeth. Hiraeth has set on my heart. Echoes have placed a powerful hand on my shoulder. I'm westward bound, having become a pilgrim to the land of my fathers, where valley, mountain, and wood guards beauty unhindered, where the rivers and streams sing in enchanted voices, where the language does not retreat when trampled underfoot, but grows beneath each rise of the sun's glow, where deep within the poets, bards, and artists feed on bread that give them strength. Long ago, I wandered from these lands, and I may yet spend a lifetime from them. But Hiraeth has set in my heart, and echoes have placed a powerful hand on my shoulder. Give me your blessings, Cymru, so I may never truly say farewell. Thank you. Do I have time for a third one, Finn, or am I?
No, go ahead, go ahead.
All right, thank you. I wrote this a little while ago, a little bit of a Maya Angelou kind of inspiration in here. Spot the line, shouldn't be difficult. It's called Today I Will. I like it because it's uplifting. There we are. Today, I will succumb to the joy of a farting noise. I will draw with my left hand in red crayon a graceless swan on blood rivers. Today, I will mimic the sound of appliances. I will hopscotch my way to the fridge, eat sweets till I'm sick. I will accept your challenge of a pillow fight. Today, I will stand defiant, stamp my foot and shout, "Not me, I don't want to," when I don't want to. You see, today I will not fight the urge to run down streets, arms flung wide, beating the blues till the breath in my side pulls me up, breathless. Today, I will have cake and I will eat it. It will be soft and airy with jam in the middle, a sifted ice topping as if fairies placed each grain. Today, I will watch colourful movies, read books until my eyes feel glued open and my brain bursts with the possibility of flying and dreaming and bouncing and spinning and fighting and winning and being anything I want to be. You see, today, I will accept it all, portions large and small. I've grown in light, I shrink in shadows. I will hide no more. Today, I will desire, I will dream, I will not apologize. I will rise. Today, I will embrace myself. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Caroline. Great to have you back. This is just, I don't think I've had so many returning poets in one evening for a long time. It's been brilliant seeing familiar faces back again. Thank you very much. Okay, Elizabeth, the Zoom is all yours.
Hello there. Apologies for being late tonight. I've been exploring silence, and if I could read a few poems that I've written, they're quite short, and I'd like to share them with you. One of them has been accepted for Drich, which is an anthology that comes out regularly in Scotland. Silence. the absence of sound. Embrace it. Hold its stillness within. Let its knowledge awaken your spirit. Feelings. Emotions overpower. No need for the explosion of words to disturb the purity of the moment. Cherish the peace of spirituality and silence. Meditation. The quiet, still voice within bathes the soul with love and silence. Why? Why do people fear silence? Silence allows the senses to heighten. Silence brings depth and joy to life. Silence encompasses the whole universe. Listen and comprehend. Thoughts are the precursors to words. Let them be truthful and loving before they're uttered, or they have the power to deafen like an explosive cannonball and wreak havoc. The horror of war. The bullet holes in the prams. The sewing machine no longer turns. Shoes, their leather rotting. The birds no longer sing. The horrors and silence of Oradour. Tears flow. Souls reach out. The heart grieves. We shall never forget. Culloden. The ancient ground where pipes and drums reverberated in the wind, where women tended the wounds of loved ones, where battle cries sounded, where banners were waved to spur on the fighting spirits of the clans. Sacred and silent, tears flow, breath is stilled, no birds sing in eternal reverence, a lasting memorial to brave souls. Shh. Sit quietly, boys and girls. No talking. It's I who does the talking and you the listening. You're at school now, and you must do as I say. I didn't understand. I'd always been a happy chatterbox. What's happening? 1952. Children were to be seen and not heard. Can I read one more?
Aye, go on.
Oh. Connectivity. Do words speak? Or are they silent images on paper? Can they jump off the pages, pull at the heartstrings, bring laughter, encourage thought, leave a lasting memory? Do they make you want to read them aloud at the top of your voice, up a mountaintop, alone, except for nature's sounds? Do they make you want to shout with anger at injustice and tyranny? Words hold power.
That's what you get. Silence, you see, it's all silent clapping now. There you go. It just fit. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we're carrying on with the latecomers. Well, he's got issues. He was at another gig tonight as well. Right, Gary? Take it away, sir.
All right, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, because I want to try and back for London. Right, here we go. It's hot. It's fucking hot. It's fucking hot. You were warned. You were warned even by a 16-year-old Swedish girl. Too hot. It's going to be too hot to fix the ozone layer. Sorry, Generation Z. We didn't listen to your blah, blah, blah. We just thought not our problem. Packing Karachi is a 21st century Titanic. The house band in the west is still playing while Karachi is still sinking. And to make it worse, Celine Dion is still singing. Your heart won't go on and on and on and on. The 1912s.
Oh, must have gone under a tunnel or something. Now, Gary, you've gone, you've frozen.
The Titanic
Oh,
was
he's
a
back.
tragedy. Bank accounts have used all the gas to heat your pools and mansions, while that Canadian has no Eurovision as she goes on and on and on. Extreme weather discriminates. Yes, climate change, extreme weather discriminates. It's always the poorest, the weakest who cannot change the fate. Russian water, bush fires, forced blankouts. Extreme weather discriminates. Well, not the privileged and the wealthy. Their profits are right at the end, just smoking. Private jets are flying while the poor are choking. The sick are drowning. The cash tills are registering, ka-ching. In the meantime, the icebergs are swimming, the landslides are sliding, earthquakes are quaking, gales are blowing. When are we going to fucking do something? It's always the vulnerable that are subject to dying. It's always those without sandbags who are sinking. That's plant-based food for thought. Who will be the rich when the poor are no more? That's the button. Didn't think about that, Rollins. Who will clean your streets, pick your food, make your beds, heal your sick, wash your bums, swallow your fix. Climate change fucking discriminates. Why do the poor always have to pay for the sins of the rich? Who let the dogs out? Bermuda is sinking the emissions of the
It's not a real
floatings. Coming up soon, we all got together at the G7 and after much debate and pointless bridges, we all decided that we're just going to leave it as it is. Just as it is. Africa starving, Australia burning, South Pole melting, Amazon fires and sinking, Asia quaking, and guess what? USA is gassing and China are fuming. The West are banking and feeding, are feasting. The single-use plastic are the vulnerable, filling up the landfills by dying while the pinstripe wasters are the only old fossils extracted to fucking say climate change to discriminate. Put that in your ozone layer and smoke it. And guess what? Celine Dion goes on and on and on.
Think he's finished? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Gary. We cut out a bit during that, but we got most of it. Zooming from a train. We've had planes and trains and aeroplanes. Almost.
Just want to
Zooming
beat
from
taxis.
Yeah, with Skylar zooming in from the airport earlier on, now here in the train. It's only on Blot, only on Blot. All right, we come to our final reader for the night, who is our headline spot next month. Will you please welcome Gerald Kells.
Hi everyone, and I'm sorry I was at Yes We Can't, which is
another thing I do in Walthall. I'll start with a couple of clerihews, for those who know what a clerihue is, and this one goes like this. Little Liz Truss caused quite a fuss. It now appears she is as bad as we feared. Clerihue number one. And here's a clerihue for those of you who are more kind of financially into things, and it goes like this. You can't blame Kwasi Kwarteng for the fall of the Hang Seng, but he was certainly around for the collapse of the pound. Thank you. Those are slight bit of politics there. Anyway, so you may know that I was turned down as Poet Laureate, and sadly, maybe because I was turned down as Poet Laureate, or despite it, I wrote this poem called On Royalty and Ponds, and I have to give a kind of content warning. It does refer to the Poet Laureate's poem. So just, anyway, it's called On Royalty and Ponds, and it's kind of like about death, but it's also about life. Today, apropos of nothing and everything at the same time, I thought how we must all pass through the same arch, down the same road, between the same pillars, and arrive at the same destination. I recalled the funeral of Fiona's Uncle Jimmy, at which, so we were told, no one came and no one was told. And all the people who loved him were left outside, except for the priest and God and the ubiquitous curtains. For some time at lunchtime, we watched the gun carriage crawl down the mall in step with the living, in step with the tolling bell, the sounding cannon, the military men marching in solemn step. They know what death is, sudden and uninvited. They know that far away in less polished uniforms, fire rains down from an unwanted war, an unasked for war, a war that came like the spring flowers, unnecessary, uninvited. At lunchtime, I decided, while washing up Friday night's leftover curry, to remove from the CD player Jubilee, a compilation of 70s punk, and replace it with Joni Mitchell's Blue. My Old Man is such a mournful song, almost an elegy, a lament for someone who is not yet dead, which is most of us, all of us in fact, if we'd only admit it. I have a sore back, it comes from digging out a pond, which dutifully sits brown with sand, ready to silt down, ready for plants to grow, iris high, to bury again the excavated clay that is not quite deep enough for a grave. Someone should warn you before it's read out on telly just how bad poetry for royal funerals will be. It's something only the passing monarch escapes. All those packed eulogies about service and duty, comparisons with flowers contrived into verse. Or is it just me who wants a little simple honesty? She meant well and did her bit, then died. Meanwhile, frogs will come to my pond. Water flies and grubs turn up in a jam jar from the community garden. Children, just like those two in black who struggle to stand still between their parents, children will look down into our pond, gaze in wonder, oblivious to death, engrossed in life. They will be great nieces and nephews. They will not have seen this day, have yet to be born or to understand. Did you look into a pond long ago and see your reflection way back before that first plummy speech, sitting next to your sister, who is also dead? Did you see the same things we see? The only thing in ponds, life looking back, not rich, not poor, not kind, not evil, unbannered, unadorned, life back where it first emerged, where it belongs, in water. My Facebook page has a Snoopy cartoon which says, "You die once, but live every day." I should send it to the poet laureate. It might help him with his inspiration. It is also true. As ripples on the pond clear, new ones form, something I observe without emotion. We will, of course, all pass. It's not so important, yet it is more important than anything in the world to most of us. And will we rise, I wonder, apropos of nothing, before leaning forward and searching for life as the water clears? Thank you. So that's my, that was my poem for Simon Armitage. Do you want me to finish on a more cheery one, Finn, or have I run out of time? I'll do.
No, just go on. Go on. We've got, yeah, it's not even 10 o'clock yet. Come on.
I will just finish with this one. Then, sorry, I'm slightly. I don't know if you saw before we got into all that stuff, when you couldn't do really strange news stories. There was one about apes, about male apes, and how they drum different drums. So each ape had a different drumming sound, and they hide it when they want to get a female, and they communicate. And it led to this poem, which is called Orangutangus curbia. In the jungles of suburbia, Orangutangus curbia is drumming on a sycamore and gurning at the man next door. His Portius automaticum can't find a place to stick its bum. Instead, a Nissan, red and slight, is pulled up where he parks by right. And now the silvery Alpha Plus is letting off a howler bus. How dare you park outside my house? Are you a man or cowering mouse? And as he beats his fists and roars, net curtains twitch and folks lock doors, the constabularum not again come blaring out their harsh refrain, and gentle as a tiny mouse approach the curbia in his house. Rather than park your car just here, you could park somewhere else quite near. But Orangutangus curbiers, enraged by such absurdia, the pepper-spraying plodipus must knock him to the sodipus. Now come with me and simmer down, the plodipus tells him with a frown. Orangutangus curbia lets off a spray of verbia. He's shuffled off despite his dander. Turns out the jungle hides a panda. Now little beasties good as gold, so often bullies, rarely told, cry out their thanks to Mr. Plod. Anthropomorphically, good word there, anthropomorphically, it's not so odd that Orangutangus curbia, that loudmouthed, loutish nerdia, drummed a very different rhythm when locked up in the nearby prison. Thank you. Those of you who know about parking wars will know all about that. Thank you. So that's I'm sorry I was late. It's great to hear what I heard.
Thank you very much, Gerald. That'll be great to hear a sample of what you'll be hearing next month on the feature point from Gerald. Thank you once more, everyone. I'm going to finish with a proper poem this time, not the nonsense I couldn't do earlier on. This is a collaborative piece for, some of you might have heard it before. A friend of mine wrote a verse. She said, I want to collaborate with you. So she sent me this verse and told me to finish the poem. And apart from the first bit that I wrote to get into the verse, it's called Make Friends with Others Who Aren't Your Age. A friend once asked me, what can I learn from a friend like you? At first glance, you might wonder what we have in common. 3 decades between us, and yet I identify. There's something about you, that sparkle in your eye. Tell me your story, the things I should know, years of wisdom that can help me grow. And you can ask me anything in return. So I say, thanks for the opportunity. I would never presume to be wiser than you. The knowledge I have is due to the paths I've crossed. The little I've gained so far is but a drop in the ocean compared to what there is to know. And I may have more experience than you, but your experiences are different to mine and as important. And we both gain from knowing each other. It's the knowledge of knowing that will help keep me growing. And all I would ask, and it's not a difficult task, is not to dwell in the past. There's a difference between nostalgia and memories, because there is no good old days, because in between the happy happenings, the sad ones existed too. For every one that made you smile, another one made you blue. They say that you only remember the good times. And sure, that is often the case. And sometimes the bleak times fade with age, sometimes. But if you were never down, how would you know what is up? You won't always be a young pup, but I rejoice at being this age, my age. And whilst there are many things that I wouldn't do again, as I am now a septuagenarian, they help me make who I am today. Slow down? What now? Not me. You see, I still have lots of things I want and need to do before my time is done. As long as I can walk and think and, not quite run, I keep on doing the things I do, try new things, expand my range, never be afraid of change. I realize that I will not be in the first choice invites, but that is all right. I've never been ingrained in any gang, but I still have plenty to say. And without arrogance getting in the way, it's your loss, not mine or ours. The older folks will tell you tales or share their words, and if you think that is absurd, that's your problem, not ours. And I'm aware that I am in my latter stages, so that means not caring for fashions or rages, but I can still develop, still do more. Learn from younger voices. Don't limit my choices. Despite my years, despite my time, I will keep transforming. I'm Septimus Prime. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. And there's another great night, strange night tonight, very much indeed. With Richard Harris for naming this thing, poets do disconcerting variety and with loss of sounds and freezing computers. But it still got there in the end. Thank you very much for coming in. They've come early. Our wonderful latecomers coming in, poets from trains and planes and everywhere. And as it says on my arm, you will read it, as I got tattoo for my 70th birthday, my first tattoo, and it says, may words never fail you. Good night and thank you.
Thank you, Finn.
Good night, everyone. Good night,
everyone.
Finn. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Finn.
Good to
Have a good
see
night,
you.
everyone. Sleep well.
Bye, y'all.